proposition. I will give you the earth if you will worship me.
I guess where I would love to start, question-wise, is just, I mean, I know this isn't your first go around with Love, Death, and Robots. You know, people really loved Ice in Volume 2. I'm curious, what made you want to return for this episode, and how did your past experience with this series kind of affect your approach?
Well, we started with Zima Blue, and man, what a perfect little story that was. You know, that was provided by Blur, you know, an Alistair Reynolds story. And then, you know, that was a pretty good experience. And then I didn't actually think we would get any more of those, you know, but after the first season and the way it rolled out on Netflix, when I heard another season was happening, I reached out to Jennifer Miller, Tim's wife, and I said, hey, if you guys need any help, you know, I'm here to help. And they were like, really? And I said, yeah, of course. So they said, well, we have a story called Ice. You can have her read it if you want. So I read that one, and whoa, yeah, that was a whole different kind of thing. More characters, more complexity. So we added a few new wrinkles onto our pipeline, you know, and sort of tried to level up a little bit. And so then we did that, and I thought, again, oh, we're probably done. And I'm sure they want to get some new blood in here and some different directors, you know, to sort of freshen things up a little bit. And just by pure happenstance, I ran into Tim here in Vancouver, and he mentioned that they were doing another season, and he says, do you want to do an episode? And I went, fuck yeah, I want to do an episode. So it came about quite accidentally. And this particular story was one that I think he had a kind of a particular fondness for. So I sort of took it on, knowing that you probably don't want to drop the ball on this one. So again, we leveled up again with our crew, tried to sort of add a few more wrinkles to it, and that was it.
I mean, I for some reason missed this, but I think this show's won an Emmy for every season that it was released. Does that give you any sense of pressure when you're going into a new, well, you know, when you're coming back for Volume 4?
I mean, I don't really think about that. I think that this series collectively, I don't know how much money it makes Netflix, but I think maybe there's another sort of unit of measurement where if it does well with the awards, maybe that gives it a certain amount of cachet, you know, maybe in a non-financial kind of way, and maybe that holds some weight.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, Alberto, that last award season where he got one for Jabaro, that one freaking blew me away. That guy's work scares me. It's so good. I'm actually get a little terrified looking at it.
Speaking of terrified, I read that you called 400 Boys the most challenging project your crew and you have ever undertaken. Can you elaborate? Why was it so difficult?
Yeah, because we don't have a huge crew, you know, and there's a core group of about 10 people, and then we sort of add on to it with some new talent, and sometimes that works and sometimes it doesn't. But there's definitely like a learning curve that's part of it. To sort of, it's a bit sort of outside of like the normal traditional animation pipeline, and so I mean, you know, on a couple of different fronts, it was absolute turmoil from start to finish. And I kept thinking of Ernest Shackleton with, you know, do you know that story about he's trying to Antarctic expedition, and you know everything goes horribly wrong. Yeah. And he's got to get out of Antarctica, and he got the whole crew out alive. And I kept thinking, oh my God, if that guy did that and he was able to pull that off, then, you know, I think we can get through this little animation production.
Yeah. That's funny. I know one of his relatives, weirdly enough. She's a songwriter.
Very serious.
Very good songwriter.
Yeah. That's funny.
I mean, watching this, everything is so unique. Like the character designs are really interesting. The color palette is really gripping. Like, how did that all come together, and how many kind of iterations of the look of this did you go through before you landed on the final?
Well, I mean, there's always been a bit of luck with the reference. And for me, I don't know, I read the story and I immediately thought of The Warriors, that movie from the 80s.
Yeah.
But the other little bit of reference that was also part of that cocktail was that, I don't know, I started thinking about that movie, City of God. It's a Brazilian film. And I just love the ensemble of characters, and the way the director dealt with each character had the same amount of importance, you know? So every character was elevated to the point where it was just a cast of kind of main characters. And the color palette came directly from that film. And the kind of camera movement and the garage kind of live action style of filmmaking, I wanted to kind of recreate that in an animation sort of way. And I don't know why, I don't know, maybe I watched that movie by pure, coincidence right before we started on this project, but that was like my main bit of reference for this whole project.
Yeah. I'm really curious about John Boyega's involvement too. I'm such a fan of his. He's awesome. How did that come together? Kind of what were your initial conversations like with him about the character?
He was the last character to be cast.
Wow.
And we had successfully cast all the other characters. And that was a fairly smooth process. Mm-hmm. But we probably went through about 20 or more auditions for Slash. And nobody was really able to give us the performance that we wanted, which was basically somebody that was youthful enough to sort of pass for like a 20-year-old, but also sort of sound like they're kind of in charge. And, it's easier said than done, because we actually recorded a couple of different people and we cut it into the edit. Didn't sound right. And so we were still sort of spinning out. And we got to the point where we desperately needed to start animation to stay on track to finish it. And I think the casting director knew John Boyega, and he came in, nailed the recording session, and it was in the edit the next day, and we were off from there.
It's incredible. It reminds me of his Attack the Block character a little bit, which is such a great film, and he's great in it. I also wanted to ask about the animation style, because I know you're one of only 2 2D episodes in this volume.
Yeah.
And I know that's your kind of medium. Is there something that you think is particularly unique in terms of what you're able to do telling a story in 2D animation?
Yeah, we were just in another sort of conversation before this where David Fincher was approached about doing an episode, and he goes, yeah, I want to do the Chili Peppers in puppet animation. And I was thinking, fuck, I would never do that. I would never just decide I'm going to do stop motion or CG or anything. I think I'm in love with 2D animation. I like the people that I've assembled together, and I think I've finally put together like the crew of people that I love to work with, and we're getting the results. And I kind of want to keep building on that stuff and keep developing new like little tricks to add onto our little bag of tricks. And I'm committed in this direction completely.
I love that. There's always these rumors of like Disney doing a 2D animation film again, and I'm like, please, like, it's just, there's something about it that I think is really special. I want to ask you one last really quick thing, which is, how did you land on the actual look, maybe without spoiling, but like of the 400 boys, of like the villains? Because I imagine if you make them look too sympathetic, that's going to be a problem. Like, was that a lot of work?
Yeah, well, Tim sent me a bit of reference. It was like a mask of like, what he thought they might look like.
Yeah.
And I was looking, and it was a little bit demonic. And I thought, oh, that's weird. I don't know about that. But if you get the reference from Tim, you got to take it on board and try to incorporate it. But then just, again, just out of pure happenstance, I saw this picture of this, this screaming baby. And I just thought, that kid looks like he's just the most ornery little fuck, and the snarling little fucking baby expression. So perfect. I thought that's the bit of reference that I knew I could wrap draw it, and sort of, this was the expression of these little 400 boys. So again, pure luck, just sort of happened to find the right bit of reference.
That's fantastic. Well, I'm going to let you go, but thank you for your time, man. It's great chatting with you.
Okay. I appreciate the questions. Thank you.